You're counting down your top 8 black sporting heroes.
Yeah.
Who have you named so far?
So far, we've got Floyd Mayweather. By the way, this is an impossible task. I will say this. Me and Simon have just sort of thrown a couple of names back and forth, which I haven't got on the list, which probably would be on someone else's list. But number 8, we've had Floyd Mayweather. At number 7, Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce, the Jamaican sprinter. Number 6, John Barnes, the reason I support Liverpool. And number 5, Usain Bolt. Probably arguably the greatest sprinter of all time. So that's a good 4, isn't it? I think that's a very, very solid 4. This, though, is number 4.
I need you to repeat after me. When I say Michael, you say Jordan. Michael. Michael.
A courageous, classic performance by the flu-ridden Michael Jordan.
Michael was very tactical and very efficient with his movements. There was no wasted space. There weren't any wasted dribbles.
That is vintage Jordan superstar.
The game of basketball has been everything to me. My refuge, a place I've always gone when I needed to find comfort and peace.
But that may have been the last shot Michael Jordan will ever take in the NBA.
He holds the ball and he goes, watch this. And he turns, he went right around Dan Marley, bam, dunks it, looks back at our bench and just starts laughing.
Jordan with 2 seconds to go, puts it up and scores at the buzzer. Michael Jordan has won it for Chicago.
Part of me wouldn't be here without MJ's inspiration. I always wanted to be like him growing up.
It's almost a silly question, Ade, but how come he makes it on your list?
He honestly could be number 1, Michael Jordan. I think there are some people on this list where I think if you asked anyone to do a list of their top 8 or top 10 black sports stars, or just sports stars in general, forget the title black on it, but just sports stars in general, I think Michael Jordan makes everyone's list. 6-time NBA champion, 2 3-peats, obviously, with the Chicago Bulls, 6 times NBA Finals MVP. So every time he's been in the finals, he's been the guy. And I think just to sort of reinforce it, if you go back and watch The Last Dance, which I thought was one of the best sporting documentaries we've seen, which is on Netflix, and just his sheer will to win, like we're not going to lose regardless. And he's had tough teams to go against. You think of the Detroit Pistons with Isaiah Thomas, New York Knicks with Patrick Ewing, Utah Jazz with Stockton Malone. So it's not as though it's been easy work, but he's so good. And then you think of off the court as well, the Jordan brand, which makes Nike $1 billion every single year. I mean, Michael Jordan is just a phenomenon. And he honestly, he could be number 1 if it wasn't for the fact that the NBA is sort of just played in, obviously, America, and basketball's really only, I mean, it's big in Europe, but really is big in America, and 99% of the people that play NBA are American. He could be number 1 on this list.
Yeah, I mean, everybody knows Michael Jordan.
Of course,
not just in the USA. We all know him. That's the thing. His name transcends everywhere, doesn't it?
Yeah, he's probably, look, we've had some big sports stars from the NBA prior to Michael Jordan. You think of the likes of Bill Russell, who won 11 championships, Magic Johnson, etc., Larry Bird. But in terms of someone that transcends sport and its first real big superstar, it's Michael Jordan. It's Michael Jordan. You think of the Dream Team, Olympic team in '92, which is just loaded, but he's the star. He's the one everyone follows. So, yeah, it was an easy selection to get Michael Jordan on here. Honestly, again, he could have been higher, but had to be, without a doubt, on this list.
So in this Black History Month, any absentees, anyone I might have thought would definitely be on Ade's list, but you just can't include them?
Yeah, you know what? There could be. I don't want to reveal the top 3. I don't want to reveal it yet, but there could be. There's a banker number 1, which I think probably most people can guess if they're listening in. But there could be a couple of absentees. I will say one that's not on the list that Simon Jordan mentioned a couple of minutes ago, Viv Richards, or Sir Viv Richards. And then if you're a cricket fan, regardless, he will be on most people's list.
Daley Thompson.
Daley Thompson is not on my list as well.
Carl Lewis in there?
He's not on the list.
Carl Lewis, I was about to mention.
He's not on the list. No, stop it. So I'm not going to just give away.
This is it. We're going to hit with your names.
Giving away all of them.
Ade, on a serious note, I want to ask you this, and let's do it. I was going to ask you afterwards, actually, out in the studio, but I'll ask you now. What's the real message that you want to come over in this Black History Month? If there's a message you want us to consume that you're sending out there, what is it? What do you want the message to be, Ade?
You know what it is? I think especially for young sort of black children in America, it's funny because Clarissa Shields was talking about her journey and where she's sort of grown up from in Flint, Michigan, and sort of the struggles. And I think it's looking at this list and knowing you can get there. There may be barriers, but you look at the list and these are barriers that all these athletes have overcome. to not just be top of their sport in whatever sport discipline they've taken, but obviously in terms of money as well, in terms of fame. And I think it's a lesson that, regardless of sort of where you come from, your plight, your colour, you can do it. And I think it's weird because you look at the two ladies that won on the weekend, Alicia Baumgarten, I know you and Simon were there, Alicia Baumgarten and Clarissa Shields, and you look at their stories and their journeys. Clarissa Shields raped at 5 years of age, her mother addicted to crack cocaine. You look at what she's had to go through to get where she's got to. And that's why I mention a lot of these athletes. I've not really spoken about their stories, but a lot of them have been through horrific stories as well. And I think when you name these athletes, it's not just naming them, it's going and doing a bit of research about them, finding out their backstory, and realising there are no barriers. If you want, you can achieve, and a lot of these athletes have achieved.
I think we, as you say, Simon and I were there in the O2 on Saturday night, Ade. I think we saw something special that night.
Yeah.
The first all-women boxing bill.
Incredible.
The atmosphere, I mean, you turned to me on several occasions, listen to that roar. Good God, what are we witnessing here? It was incredible.
Honestly, insane. I think Sky have recent release figures, and over 2 million people watched it, which is just, I mean, obviously they done that just to make sure DAZN know, because DAZN had Katie Taylor-Serrano do 1.5 million, so it surpassed that by nearly 500,000. So look, honestly, insane. I never thought a women's card could headline, an all-women's card could headline, and it's not just that, it's the level of boxing you saw as well. It's not just a case of like, let's chuck a lot of ladies on this card.
Right.
Everyone was elite on that card.
Yeah.
And I think that's what sold it as well.
I mean, the standard was absolutely incredible.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the prism as a boxing fan, what we saw was some very good boxing, just happened to be women doing it.
Yeah.
So when we get into that category, when you start moving, the next barrier is, of course, to break the pay-per-view barrier, so that you can get into that territory, so that the sport can monetize itself more, because it is the embodiment of, if you can see it, you can be it.
Yeah.
So women will now look at boxing and say, there is a career path in here for me if I want that. There's a commercial career path, there's a financial career path, there's an opportunity.
Yeah.
And when you see the quality of it, and Clarissa Shields, I said to you before she came in, I said, watch this girl, because she really believes that she's the bomb. Right?
Yeah.
And she'll come into something that will really take our breath away, and so she duly did. But it was a great, and what you saw was a different atmosphere as well, because 40% of the audience was women, and they bring something different to the sport. There was a different volume, a different sort of intensity, a different sort of engagement, and sport is open to everybody, and women's contribution to sport is invaluable.
Yeah.
And I don't want to look at. I don't often like to look at the prism of sport through colour or through sexuality, but every now and again you do have to, and it's right to do so. And then extrapolate everything up to sport being the winner. Out of all of this.
Yeah.
And it really was, honestly, 20,000 at the O2. I mean, I've covered events in the O2 for the last few years, and I'm telling you now, some big events don't get sold out at the O2.
Yeah.
I'm not to mention names of people that have headlined there, but they don't sell out the O2. They really don't. So for these ladies to do that, and let's not forget as well, I mean, it got postponed. It got postponed because of Her Majesty the Queen passing.
And actually they upped the ante.
Upped the ante.
Yeah.
They really did. So
It was
congratulations
amazing.
to all of them.
Ade, we love having you in this show. Thank you so
very
much.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.